Greetings, commanders and historians. Today, our exploration of the fascinating lore of one-page rules GrimDark Future will be about psychic powers and those who wield them within the Sirius sector and beyond. Throughout the galaxy, adepts have left an indelible mark on history, culture, and warfare, whether through crushing battle tanks with a thought, shielding themselves with hymns of power, or vaporizing foes with bolts of psychic energy. Their abilities are as varied as they are profound. Yet, despite their significant impact, the true nature of these powers remains unknown, inspiring countless theories and beliefs. Now, I'm really excited about this video today. It will be covering information from the recently released GrimDark Future World Book. It was going to be a shorter video, more along the lines of my usual lore breakdowns. But when I dug into it more, the more I wanted to talk about it. And so I ended up making a much longer video, as you can probably see. So, I hope you will enjoy this expanded lore video where we'll be covering the basics of the lore, as well as adding in my own flavors and stories of my own creation. But first, I would like to thank you all for participating in my latest community poll. I wasn't expecting so many of you to vote for how to write lore for your army, but I've already started working on the video, and boy, it's turning into something I'm really excited about. If you want to get updates on my progress on the biggest project I've done so far on this channel, please like and subscribe. Now join me as we cover the origins, societal impact, and the intricate relationships between the psychics and the myriad of factions in this rich universe. Let's embark on this journey to understand the adepts and the incredible forces they wield. In a galaxy far, far away, but not that one, the history of psychic powers dates back to ancient times, long before the advent of advanced civilizations and interstellar travel. Early records, often steeped in myth and legend, tell of civilizations with extraordinary abilities, shamans who could summon storms, healers who could mend wounds with a touch, and seers who could glimpse the future. These early psychics were often revered as prophets, gods, or demons, their powers shrouded in mystery and fear. As civilizations began to rise, the understanding and utilization of these psychic abilities evolved. In the Sirius sector, ancient texts and artifacts from the Elven Empire, one of the earliest advanced civilizations, depicted a society where psychics held significant sway. These psychically gifted nobles, some known as Master High Oracles, were believed to communicate with spirits and harness the very essence of magic, guiding their empire through millennia of prosperity and conflicts. The Elven Empire, although fallen, left behind a legacy of psychic nobility that influenced many subsequent cultures. Their methods and practices were studied and adopted by various factions, each adapting them to their unique culture and strategic needs. This cross-pollination of ideas led to the development of new psychic disciplines and the refinement of existing ones, ensuring that the knowledge of psychic powers continued to evolve. The contribution of psychics to their respective civilizations were profound and far-reaching. In the early days of the Great Human Alliance, psychics played pivotal roles in exploration and colonization. Their abilities to sense danger, communicate over vast distances, and manipulate the environment proved to be invaluable in the harsh and often unpredictable frontier worlds. In the Saurian Star Host, the Frog Mages were instrumental in maintaining social cohesion and spiritual guidance. Their psychic abilities allowed them to mediate disputes, foresee potential threats, and maintain the delicate balance between the spiritual and secular aspects of their society. Their influence was so significant that they were often regarded with near-religious reverence, their words and actions shaping the destiny of their people. Even in the militaristic orc clans, psychics, known as shaman, provided crucial support both on and off the battlefield. These shamans used their powers to heal the wounded, bolster morale of the warriors, and call upon the elemental forces to turn the tide of the battle. Their presence was often the difference between victory and defeat, earning them a revered place in orcish society. Across the galaxy, every role of psychics was marked by their ability to influence events in ways that was both subtle and overt. in ways that continue to be felt today. The sky burned with the wrath of descending chaos. Merik watched from the cracked window of his apartment, wide-eyed as the Havoc brothers razed the once peaceful town. Buildings crumbled, screams echoed, and flames danced across the horizon. It was the end of everything he knew. He thought of the stories his parents used to tell him, tales of the legendary female warrior with her telekinetic powers who fought for justice. Merik had always admired her, pretending to wield her powers during playtime, though they never manifested. But today was different. Today, justice could not wait for bedtime stories. Merik grabbed his toy gun and his space helmet, heart pounding in his small chest. The plastic felt cool and familiar in his hand, a fragile shield against the horrors outside. Steeling himself, he pushed open the door and ran into the chaos. The street was a battlefield. Bodies lay strewn across the ground, the air thick with the smoke and metallic tang of blood. Merik's childhood home, his sanctuary, exploded in a fiery burst as the Havoc brothers launched a missile into it. Debris showered down, and Merik fell to his knees. Terror gripped him, but so did resolve. Trembling, he raised his hand, mimicking the warrior's gesture from his stories. He pushed with his mind, summoning every ounce of belief and desperation he had. Something inside of him snapped. A barrier shattered, and he felt a force surge within him. It was raw, overwhelming, more than his little body could handle. His breath came in sharp gasps as he focused, channeling the energy through his arm, feeling it build and build until it was almost a physical presence, heavy and electric. Merik could sense the power coiling within him, ready to strike. He could almost see it, a shimmering wave of force, a telekinetic burst that would sweep the Havoc brothers off their feet and save his town. He believed in that moment he had become the hero of his bedtime stories. He pushed harder, his vision narrowing on the figures of armored warriors before him. Merik's heart pounded with hope, with belief that he could make a difference. The energies left his body, rushing towards the Havoc brothers, and for a split second, he felt invincible. But as the powers reached the squad leader, something went horribly wrong. Instead of telekinetic explosion, Merik felt his mind latch onto the leaders. The connection was immediate and overwhelming, a violent melding of consciousness. The boy's vision went black as the squad leader's thoughts poured into his mind, a torrent of corruption, malevolent images, and emotions. Merik's mind was not equipped to handle this chaos. He saw atrocities beyond comprehension, felt the cold, unyielding embrace of chaos. His innocence was torn apart, his psyche shattered by the raw, unfiltered evil he was now a part of. The power he had hoped to wield for good had turned against him in the most horrific way. With a strangled cry, Merik collapsed, his toy gun clattering uselessly to the ground. His small body convulsed as he tried to process the incomprehensible horrors that had flooded his mind. He had wanted to be a hero, to save his town, but now he was just a broken vessel, a casualty of the very power he had awakened. Psychic abilities manifest in individuals in a myriad of ways, often influenced by their innate talent, emotional state, and environmental factors. These powers can emerge at any stage of life, although some psychics display their abilities from a very young age, while others may not discover their talents until adulthood. The nature of these abilities varies widely. Some individuals might develop telekinesis, the power to move objects with their mind, while others might possess telepathy, the ability to communicate mentally with others. Empathy, the power to sense and influence emotions, is another common manifestation. More specialized abilities included pyrokinesis, controlling fire, cryokinesis, manipulating ice, and biokinesis, altering biological matter. In rare cases, some psychics exhibit unique powers tied to their personal experiences or cultural backgrounds. For instance, a psychic from a desert world might develop the ability to control sandstorms, while one from a verdant planet might gain powers related to both plant growth and control. This manifestation of psychic abilities can be unpredictable and at times dangerous. Untrained psychics might experience uncontrolled bursts of power, leading to unintended consequences such as minor earthquakes, electrical storms, or temporary mutations. This unpredictability underscores the importance of proper training and discipline in harnessing these powers. To harness and control their psychic abilities, adepts often undergo rigorous training and practice. Various methods have been developed across cultures to help psychics focus their power and minimize the risks associated with their use. One common practice is meditation, which helps psychics achieve the mental clarity and focus necessary to control their abilities. By entering a meditative state, psychics can better channel their energy and reduce their likelihood of unintended side effects. Meditation techniques can vary widely, from deep breathing exercises to complex visualizations and mantras. Another crucial aspect of training is discipline. Psychics must learn to control their emotions, as strong feelings can amplify their powers and make them harder to manage. This emotional discipline is often taught through a combination of mental exercises, physical training, and mentorship from more experienced psychics. In some cultures, rituals and ceremonies play a significant role in training psychics. These rituals might involve the use of sacred objects, chants, and symbols believed to enhance psychic abilities. For example, the Saurian star hosts, frog mages, perform elaborate ceremonies to attune their minds to the psychic currents of their world, while orc shamans engage in spiritual quests to deepen their connection to the elemental forces they command. Formal education institutions, such as the academias established by various psychic orders, provide structured environments for psychics to develop their skills. These academias offer a comprehensive curriculum that cover theoretical knowledge, practical application, and ethical considerations. Apprenticeships are another common method of training, where less experienced psychics learn directly from seasoned mentors. While psychic abilities offer tremendous potential, they come with the significant risks and potential side effects. Uncontrolled or poorly managed powers could lead to devastating consequences for both the psychic and those around them. One of the most common risks is psychic backlash, which occurs when the psychic overextends their abilities or encounters resistance. This backlash can cause severe mental and physical strain, leading to symptoms such as headaches, fatigue, even unconsciousness. In extreme cases, psychic backlash can result in permanent damage to the adept's mind. Another risk is the unintended manifestation of their abilities. For example, a telekinetic adept might inadvertently cause objects to fly around in a fit of anger, while an empath could project their emotions onto others, causing widespread panic or despair. These side effects highlight the importance of emotion control and proper training. Psychics are also susceptible to external influences. Powerful psychic energies can interact with entities from other dimensions or realms, which might attempt to manipulate or even possess the psychics. Protective wards, mental fortifications, and specialized trainings are essential to safeguard against such threats. Moreover, the ethical implications of psychic powers cannot be ignored. The ability to read minds, control thoughts, or manipulate emotions poses significant ethical dilemmas. Adepts must navigate these moral complexities carefully, ensuring that their powers are used responsibly and for the greater good. The royal halls of the High Elf Fleet ships were a spectacle of ethereal beauty, with arched ceilings adorned with luminescent crystals and intricate carvings that seemed to shimmer with inner light. The zero-gravity chamber at the center of the hall was a marvel of arcane engineering, a transparent sphere suspended in midair, its interior filled with potential nobles floating in meditation. Arion hovered in the chamber, his long silver hair drifting around his face like a halo. His heart raced, pounding in his ears as he struggled to calm his mind. The weighty words of his father echoed in his thoughts. "Failure is not an option, Arion. If you do not ascend, our family will be cast out of the noble house." He closed his eyes, pushing the fear and anxiety down, trying to focus on the task at hand. With this his moment, the accumulation of years of training and preparation,
He took a deep breath, reaching out with his mind, attempting to spread his consciousness beyond his physical self. Slowly, he began to feel the familiar sensation of his boundaries dissolving, the walls of his mind melting away, and he could sense the other nobles around him, their minds reaching out just like his. It was a delicate dance, a symphony of consciousness striving for harmony within the cosmos. Arion felt a flicker of confidence as his consciousness extended further. The presence of the other nobles was both a comfort and a challenge, their psychic energy intertwining with his. He focused on the serene, infinite expanse of the cosmos, the stars beckoning him to join their eternal dance. Suddenly, a wave of psychic energy washed over the chamber, disrupting his concentration. One of the nobles had ascended, their consciousness merging with the cosmos in a brilliant flash of light. Arion's heart skipped a beat, his confidence shaken. He fought to regain his focus, but the pressure was mounting. Another noble ascended, then another, each sending a ripple of psychic energy through the chamber. Arion gritted his teeth, his mind a storm of fear and determination. He could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on him, the eyes of the gathered families in the royal hall watching his every move. The hours passed, and one by one, the other nobles achieved ascension. Arion was the last one left, his anxiety and fear reaching a fever pitch. He struggled to maintain his focus, but his consciousness kept pulling inward, his doubts gnawing at the edges of his mind. In the royal hall, the tension was palpable. The families of the newly ascended nobles began to raise from their seats, leaving in hushed whispers. Arion could hear the murmurs of disappointment and the shuffling of feet as the crowd thinned. As the hours passed, even his own family left, their hopes dashed. Arion floated alone in the chamber, exhaustion weighing heavily on him. The emptiness of the hall mirrored the loneliness in his heart, but he refused to give up. He summoned every ounce of strength and determination, pushing through the fatigue and the doubt. His emotions churned within him, transforming from fear and anxiety into a burning anger. He fought with all his soul, but no matter how hard he tried, his consciousness continued to collapse inward. Desperation clawed at him, but he held on, refusing to surrender to failure. As the hours wore on, Arion approached his breaking point. His mind was fraying, the edges of his consciousness unraveling. In the final act of defiance, he decided to abandon the outward expansion and instead focus all his energies inward. If he couldn't force his consciousness outward, he would let it collapse inward with all the force he could muster. With a surge of determination, Arion directed his anger and frustration inwards, collapsing his consciousness into a singularity. In an instant, his perception of the world disappeared, replaced by an endless void where he was the only thing that existed. The void was an expanse of nothingness, an infinite abyss where time and space seemed meaningless. Arion floated, disoriented in this vast emptiness. He drifted through the void, feeling as though he had been lost for lifetimes, yet, despite the isolation, he had never felt more alive. Every thought, every emotion was magnified, swirling within him like a tempest. In this strange state, he began to notice a presence, a different entity, curious and ancient, watching from the shadows of his mind. The entity emerged not with a physical form, but as an overwhelming sense of awareness. It communicated without words, pouring meaning directly into Arion's mind like a water filling a vessel. Strange to see you here. I can't remember the last time someone breached my realm of perfection. Interesting. You appear to have done it by mistake as well. Arion's thoughts raced. At first, he believed he had succeeded in communing with the cosmos. But now he realized this was something entirely different. Confusion and awe mingled within him as he faced the entity's immense presence. I don't like being disturbed, the entity continued, its voice a flood of understanding and emotion. But you are so intriguing, little elf, that I will grant you what you truly desire. I will give you a piece of my imperfection. See to it that you use it well. The entity's form seemed to shift and shimmer. With a graceful motion, it carved a piece out of the very fabric of reality. The fragment had glowed with an otherworldly light, pulsating with a raw energy. The entity carefully placed this fragment into Arion's soul, its touch both searing and soothing. And with that, our meeting is over. Begone, little elf. Arion felt himself being expelled from the void, the pressure releasing as his soul was thrust back into the physical world. Alarms blared throughout the High Elf fleet ship, their urgent wails echoing through the royal halls. People rushed towards the zero-gravity chamber, their faces etched with confusion and fear. Inside the chamber, Arion's body was still floating, motionless but not lifeless. Powerful psychic waves of energy radiated from him, cracking the glass walls and causing the ship to sunder. His mind was aflame with a fragment of imperfection the entity had bestowed upon him, its power coursing through every fiber of his being. As the onlookers gathered, the intensity of the psychic waves grew. With a final explosive surge, Arion's eyes snapped open. A massive wave of energy burst forth, shattering the cracked walls of the chamber and sending a shockwave through the hall. In spite of these powerful forces, Arion was gently lowered onto the floor. The head of his noble house, an imposing figure draped in regal robes, stepped forward, his expression a mixture of awe and reverence. He fell to his knees before Arion, bowing deeply. Welcome, Arion, the new and rightful head of House of Valor. Societal attitudes towards psychics can vary greatly across different cultures and civilizations. In some societies, psychics are revered and celebrated for their unique abilities, while in others, they are viewed with suspicion and fear. These attitudes are often shaped by historical events, cultural beliefs, and visible impacts of psychic powers on society. In isolated and thinly populated worlds, where knowledge of psychic abilities is limited, fear and distrust are common. These communities may have experienced destructive incidents caused by uncontrolled psychic outbursts, leading to a general wariness of these psychic powers. Psychics in these areas often hide their abilities to avoid persecution, or worse. Conversely, in societies with a long history of psychic integrations, such as the fallen Elven Empire, psychics are often held in high regard. The Elven Empire, ruled for millennia by psychically gifted nobility, viewed these individuals as blessed by the gods, essential to maintaining the empire's stability and prosperity. This reverence for psychics has been passed down through generations, influencing how other cultures perceive and treat those with similar abilities. The Protectorate represents a more balanced approach, striving to integrate psychics into their society while managing the risks associated with their powers. By treating psychic abilities as valuable skills, akin to any other talent, the pragmatic stance helps mitigate fear and prejudice, allowing psychics to contribute to various aspects of society without being set apart or stigmatized. Each culture has developed its own ways of treating individuals with psychic abilities, reflecting their unique values and traditions. These cultural practices significantly influence how psychics are perceived and integrated into society. Psychics find themselves integrated into a wide array of social roles, depending on their abilities and needs of their culture. This integration allows them to contribute meaningfully to their communities while providing a sense of purpose and belonging. In the military, psychics often serve in specialized units where their abilities can be utilized to maximize effort. For example, telepaths might be employed in intelligence and communication roles, intercepting enemy plans and coordinating strategic movements. Telekinetics might serve in combat roles, using their powers to manipulate the battlefield and protect their allies. In civilian life, psychics can be found in various professions. Healers with biokinetic abilities work in medical fields, providing advanced treatments and care. Empaths might serve as counselors and mediators, helping to resolve conflicts and promote emotional well-being within their communities. Pyrokinetics and cryokinetics might work in industries requiring precise control over temperature and materials. Leadership roles also see the inclusion of psychics, particularly in cultures that view their abilities as indicative of divine favor or exceptional talent. Psychic leaders can provide unique insights and guidance, helping to steer their societies through challenging times. Their presence in governments ensure that the benefit of psychic abilities are felt most by the ruling class. Despite their valuable contributions in some societies, psychics face numerous challenges in their efforts to maintain control and balance over their lives. The very nature of their abilities can lead to significant personal and societal difficulties. One of the primary challenges is the need for constant training and discipline. Psychic abilities can be unpredictable and dangerous if not properly managed. Adepts must dedicate their lives to rigorous practice to maintain control, often under the guidance of more experienced mentors. This ongoing training can be mentally and physically exhausting, requiring a high degree of commitment not only from the psychic adept themselves, but from the society and the culture around them. Another challenge is the social stigma that can accompany psychic abilities. In societies where fear and mistrust of psychics are prevalent, individuals with these powers can be ostracized or persecuted. This can lead to isolation and sense of alienation, making it difficult for psychics to find the support and training they need. The ethical dilemmas associated with psychic abilities also poses significant challenges. The power to read minds, control thoughts, or influence emotions carries substantial moral implications and societal implications, especially with those individuals who have risen into power. The ability for one leader to be able to influence the mind of others is one that societies often find repulsive. Thus, societal controls, or even the complete rejection of psychics in certain aspects of life, has been implemented by many societies, some of which have relegated psychics to the realm of the battlefield alone, keeping them far away from their homelands and the ability to influence and control their governments. This situation often leaves psychic adepts needing to navigate these complexities carefully, ensuring that their actions do not infringe upon the autonomy and well-being of others, lest they get discovered, all while trying to maintain control and discipline over their own powers. This ethical burden can be a heavy one, requiring constant vigilance and reflection. Finally, the risk of psychic backlash, one that we've spoken of more on the individual level, has other side effects on a societal level, which adds a layer of difficulty. Even the most skilled psychics can experience moments of loss of control, leading to potential catastrophic consequences. Even the most skilled psychics still come with risks, because they've developed and honed their psychic abilities over years of disciplined control. They've awakened themselves to higher potential, but this comes at a higher cost as well. Societies that have these incredibly powerful psychics are at risk of psychic backlash at almost potentially any moment. These psychic backlashes could lead to catastrophic consequences, the destruction of towns, cities, even entire ecosystems. This inherent risk necessitates a high degree of caution. A high degree of caution not only from the society itself, the skilled psychic themselves. This means that the psychic needs access to resources and support to manage any incident that may arise. The hideout was a chaotic labyrinth of shadowy corridors and makeshift rooms filled with contraband and stolen equipment. The air buzzed with tension, the sense of impending doom almost palpable. Lexa crouched in the shadows, her heart pounding in her chest. Her Psi-hack augmentations thrummed within her skull, ready to be unleashed. The sudden attack by the machine cultists had thrown the entire criminal operation into disarray, and her comrades were falling like dominoes. With a deep breath, Lexa activated one of her Psi-hack bio-augmentations. Instantly, her perception of time slowed, and everything around her seemed to move in sluggish, surreal motion. She could see the flicker of fluorescent lights reflecting off her dual crystal claws, hear the distant screams of her teammates, and feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was it. The moment she had trained for. The moment she would strike back. She dropped silently from the metal beam she had been perched on, descending upon the squad of ranger cultists. The world moved in slow motion as she landed on one of the cultists, her claws slicing through his neck with lethal precision. The crimson spray of blood felt almost frozen in air. As she pulled her blade free, she noticed two other cultists raising their pulsed carbines, their movement sluggish and predictable. Without hesitation, she threw one of her crystal blades. the weapon spinning through the air before embedding itself in the chest of the closest cultist. He crumbled to the ground, his weapon clattering uselessly beside him. Before the second cultist could react, Lexa leaped towards him, her remaining blade flashing in the dim light. She drove it deep into his neck, feeling the satisfying crunch of bone and cartilage. His eyes widened in shock before the life drained out of them, and he collapsed in a heap at her feet. Lexa didn't have time to revel in her victory. She could hear more cultists approaching, their heavy footsteps echoing down the corridor. She reached into her belt and pulled out a smoke bomb, tossing it into the center of the room. The thick, acrid smoke filled the space, obscuring her from view. Activating another Psi-Hack bio-augmentation, she felt a tingling sensation spread through her body. Her senses expanded, allowing her to detect the faint pulses of life around her. She could see the cultists moving through the smoke, their heartbeats like a beacon in the dark. One of the cultists was just beyond the veil of smoke, his pulse carbine sweeping the area in search of her. Lexa pulled out her barbed pistol, the weight of it reassuring in her hand. Without looking, she aimed and fired the powerful shot, punching through the smoke and striking the cultist square in the chest. He staggered back, collapsing to the ground as the energy from the shot burst through him. Just as Lexa felt a moment of relief, the smoke was blown away by an incoming grav cannon shot. She tried to dodge, but her outstretched arm, still extended from firing the pistol, was caught in the blast. Pain seared through her as her arm was vaporized, the sheer force of the shot twisting her body and sending her sprawling to the ground. She scrambled behind a nearby crate, her mind racing. The cyborg destroyer, its gravity cannon glowing ominously, stomped into the room, its mechanical joints whirring with each step. Lexa clutched the bleeding stump of her shoulder, biting back a scream. She fumbled with a stem pack, jabbing the needle into the wound. The bleeding stopped, and the pain dulled, but the loss of her arm left her feeling vulnerable and desperate. Her thoughts raced. The cyborg destroyer was reloading its weapon, and she knew she only had moments before it would fire again. She was out of options, out of time. There's only one thing left to do. She had to use her final Psi-Hack, the one she had hoped to avoid. Lexa waited, her breath coming in ragged gasps. As soon as she felt the force of the gravity cannon shot blow a hole into her cover, she jumped out and activated her last Psi-Hack. Raising her hand, she felt herself become a conduit for the forces that made up these powers. She let them flow through her, out of her hand, and towards the destroyer. As a shimmering wave of energy surged forward, hitting the destroyer with immense force, its armor buckled and crumpled, crushing into what little flesh it had left. The destroyer was driven back, slamming into the wall as the psychic forces overwhelmed it. Lexa felt a surge of joy and hope. She had done it. She had taken out the biggest obstacle to her freedom, but as she tried to move, her body refused to respond. She crumpled to the ground, her limbs unresponsive. Panic set in as she realized her Psi-Hacks had burnt out from overuse, locking her consciousness in a body that could no longer move. As she lay there, hopeless, she heard the metallic footsteps of the machine cultists drawing closer. Her breaths came in shallow, rapid gasps, her mind racing. She could hear the clanking of mechanical limbs and the low hum of cybernetic enhancements. Panic clawed at her, but she fought to stay focused. Footsteps drew nearer, and a pair of glowing red eyes piercing the gloom could be seen. A figure emerged, tall and imposing, with a metallic faceplate that was permanently twisted into a cruel semblance of a smile. The cultist leader's voice, modulated and cold, broke the silence.
Praise the singularity. We have finally captured a Psi-Hacker alive.
Lexa's heart sank. She had heard stories of what happened to those captured by the machine cultists. Tales of horrific experiments and invasive surgeries. She had never thought it would happen to her. The cultist leader leaned over her, examining her with a mix of curiosity and contempt.
Prep the surgical station.
He commanded over a comms device.
We need to remove the augmentation before she dies.
Lexa's mind raced. She had no way to fight back, no way to escape. She could only watch as the leader's subordinates moved into view, their metallic limbs gleaming in the dim light. They lifted her with mechanical precision, her body limp and unresponsive in their grip. The cultists carried her through the labyrinthine corridors of the hideout, the sounds of the battlefield fading into the distance. They passed rooms filled with fallen comrades, memories of shared heists and close calls flashing through Lexa's mind. She felt a pang of sorrow and regret. They entered a sterile, dimly lit room that reeked of antiseptic. The surgical station was a nightmare of rusted tools and humming machinery. The cultist strapped her down on a cold metal table. Her body, already immobilized, became trapped by thick mechanical restraints. The leader stood over her, a scalpel in hand, and began preparing for the procedure.
These augmentations are valuable,
he said, almost to himself.
With them, we can unlock new levels of power. Your sacrifice will not be in vain.
Lexa wanted to scream, to fight, but she was trapped within her own body, a prisoner of her burnt-out psi-hacks. The leader lowered the scalpel, the cold metal pressing against her skin. She felt a surge of panic, her mind thrashing against the invisible chains that held her. In that moment of despair, she closed her eyes and focused on the memories of her team, the camaraderie they shared, and the cause they believed in. She had fought for her freedom, for a future free from the tyranny of the machine cultists. Even now, as she faced the end, she held on to that hope. The scalpel bit into her skin, and the pain flared through her body. Lexa tried to grit her teeth, refusing to give the cultist the satisfaction of hearing even the smallest scream. As the procedure began, her thoughts turned inward, searching for any remaining shred of her psi-hack abilities. With a final desperate effort, she reached deep within herself, trying to find a spark of power. The room blurred around her, the pain becoming distant. For a brief moment, she felt a flicker of connection, a whisper of the forces that once coursed through her. But it was too late. Her body, pushed beyond its limits, could no longer respond. The last thing she heard before darkness claimed her was the cultist leader's voice, a cold, detached echo.
Prepare for extraction. We must preserve the augmentation at all costs.
And then there was only silence.
In societies where innate psychic abilities are rare or non-existent, technology has become a vital tool for emulating or enhancing these powers. Psi-hackers, individuals trained to use advanced technology to mimic psychic abilities, are a prime example of this trend. Psi-hackers utilize a range of devices and implants to achieve effects similar to those of natural psychics. Neural interfaces, for example, allow them to control electrical systems with their thoughts, enabling feats such as disabling security networks or remotely piloting drones. Advanced exosuits equipped with psi boosters can enhance their psychic and mental abilities, providing an edge in both combat and non-combat situations. Surgical implants, such as cortical nodes or spinal relays, are another common technological enhancement. These implants can amplify neural activity, granting psi-hackers increased control over their abilities and reducing the mental strain associated with them. The integration of nanotechnology further extended their abilities, allowing them to deploy swarms of nanobots to perform tasks ranging from repairing damaged equipment to infiltrating enemy systems. Despite their reliance on technology, psi-hackers undergo extensive training to master their tools. This training often involves rigorous mental and physical conditioning, as well as a deep understanding of the devices they use. The result is a highly skilled individual capable of performing complex and demanding tasks, much like their naturally gifted counterparts. In cultures with a long history of psychic abilities, traditional rituals and accessories play a crucial role in enhancing and focusing psychic powers. These practices are deeply rooted in the cultural and spiritual beliefs of the society, providing both practical benefits and a sense of community and identity. Rituals often involve the use of sacred objects, such as amulets, talismans, and ceremonial garments, believed to amplify psychic abilities. These items are typically crafted from materials that resonate with psychic energies, such as crystals or enchanted woods. For example, the frog mages of the Saurian Star Host use intricately carved staves made from sacred trees, which serve as a conduit for their psychic energies. Ceremonial practices, such as chants, dances, and invocations, are also common. These rituals help psychics attune their inner power and the psychic currents of their environment. In the High Elf fleets, for instance, psychics perform elaborate rites under the guidance of experienced mentors, invoking the blessing of their ancestors and manifesting their noble right to rule.
Even seemingly mundane items like clothing and jewelry can carry significant weight in these traditions. Robes embroidered with protective symbols, rings inscribed with runes of power, and headbands infused with calming herbs are examples of everyday objects being transformed into tools for psychic enhancement. The scientific and traditional methods of honing psychic abilities each have their own strengths and limitations. Understanding these differences can help psychics choose the best approach for their needs and circumstances. Scientific methods prioritize effective and empirical validation. By using advanced technologies and rigorous training, these methods aim to maximize the effectiveness and reliability of psychic abilities. This approach is particularly beneficial in high-stake environments such as military operations or critical infrastructure management, where precision and control are paramount. However, the scientific approach can sometimes overlook the holistic aspects of psychic development. The focus on measurable outcomes may neglect the importance of emotional balance, spiritual growth, and cultural identity, which are often integral to psychics' overall well-being and psychic potency. Traditional methods, on the other hand, offer a more holistic approach. Some of these methods are rooted in cultural and spiritual practices. These methods emphasize the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit. Rituals and ceremonies provide a sense of grounding and purpose, helping these psychics manifest broader and deeper psychic abilities, able to channel more psychic energy, but at the cost of precision. The main limitation of traditional methods is their variability. The effectiveness of rituals and accessories can be highly individual, depending on personal beliefs and specific cultural context. The variability can make it challenging to achieve consistent results, particularly in environments where standardization is crucial. Ultimately, the choice between psychic and traditional methods depends on the society in which the psychic lives in. Many psychics find themselves in a society that does not match their personal needs or psychic style. This conflict between societal approach and personal needs often leads to massive psychic backlashes or underutilization of a psychic force. Thus, it is important that societies identify the needs of their psychics and determine if a purely scientific, a purely traditional, or perhaps a blended approach would be best. Across the many cultures in the galaxy, a wide array of unique practices for enhancing psychic abilities has arisen. These practices reflect the rich tapestry of beliefs, traditions, and technological advancements. The Dark Elf Raiders, for example, employ genetic splicing to enhance the psychic potential of their members. By acquiring and experimenting with advanced gene templates, the alchemists among the Dark Elves can endow individuals with formidable psychic abilities. This practice is closely guarded and continuously refined, making the Dark Elf psychics among the most feared and unpredictable in the sector. In the Blessed Sisters, a blend of faith and discipline is common. Their monasteries serve as both places of worship and training grounds, where rigorous spiritual practices are combined with intensive physical and psychic trainings. This holistic approach ensures that the psychics among the Blessed Sisters are not only powerful but deeply devoted to the God Queen, and making their abilities both potent and spiritually resonant. The Soul-Snatchers, with their inherent psychic talents, often engage in mind control and manipulation techniques to deepen their abilities. These practices typically involve intricate rituals and the use of their unique psychic resonance to dominate and assimilate the minds of their followers. This results in a powerful network of interconnected minds, enhancing the cult's psychic capabilities while creating a deep, loyal, and fanatic following. Each of these practices highlight the ingenuity and adaptability of different cultures in harnessing psychic abilities. Whether through genetic engineering, scientific training, or spiritual rituals, these methods showcase the diverse ways in which psychic powers are nurtured and enhanced across the sector. In this extended view into the lore of psychics and their powers, we've explored the profound impacts these individuals have on the Sirius sector. From their mysterious origins and the early history of their abilities to the structured organizations that train and guide them, psychics have been an integral part of shaping these civilizations. We've seen how psychic powers manifest in a myriad of ways, with each adaptabilities being as unique as they are powerful. The rigorous training and discipline required to harness these powers underscores the importance of control and focus as the risks and side effects of psychic abilities can be significant. These societal integrations of psychic powers varies widely, reflecting cultural attitudes that range from reverence to fear. This integration extends into numerous roles, from leadership and military service to healing and spiritual guidance, highlighting the diverse contributions of psychics across different factions. Technological and ritualistic enhancements play crucial roles in amplifying and controlling psychic abilities, whether through advanced implants and devices or traditional rituals and sacred objects. These methods showcase the ingenuity and adaptability of different cultures in harnessing psychic abilities. Interfaction relationships with psychics are also complex, involving both official alliances and hidden ties. Psychics often serve as diplomats and mediators, their abilities crucial in navigating the delicate balance of diplomacy and conflict. However, the potential misuse and ethical implications of psychic powers requires careful oversight and responsibility. As we continue to explore this rich and intricate lore, it becomes clear that psychics are not just wielders of extraordinary powers, but are also vital threads in the fabric of the Sirius sector's history and future. Their abilities, challenges, and contributions shape the world around them in ways both seen and unseen. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the fascinating lore of psychics and their powers. If you enjoy this exploration, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more in-depth lore content. Your engagement helps me bring more of these stories to life and allows me to dive even deeper into the rich worlds we explore. I would love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future topics. What aspects of psychic lore intrigue you the most? Are there any significant factions or characters you want to learn more about? What parts of the GrimDark Future World book are you most interested in me covering? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what you think about the stories I told today. Which one was your favorite? Which one did you hate? And did any of them inspire you to write your own stories? Please, I want to know. Don't forget to participate in the upcoming polls and discussion, where you can help decide the topics of my next videos. Stay tuned for more captivating stories and detailed explorations of the worlds you love. Join us next time as we explore another intriguing aspect of one-page rules GrimDark Future lore. Until then, remember that the universe never runs out of stories. There is always one page more.